You can get your Godzilla King of the Monster figures at Big Bad Toy Store with a link in the description down below. Kaiju, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. It's Steven here, and I am bringing you another SH MonsterArts review. Tamashii Nations has released King Ghidorah, Special Color Version King Ghidorah, and Mecha King Ghidorah, so the fourth time's the charm with King Ghidorah 2019. This absolute behemoth of a monster action figure comes to us at a price tag of about $180 before shipping, handling, and tax. That being said, King Ghidorah has a sketchy history in terms of quality control, with the original run of King Ghidorah having a breakage problem, the special color version having a gold changing problem over the years, and Mecha King Ghidorah sometimes having plastic that wasn't clipped together correctly. With those huge wings and the change of color from prototype to final product, is this guy going to be worth the purchase? Let's take a look to see whether or not King Ghidorah is worth adding into your collection. Alright, before we get the review started formally, here's a look at the unboxing for the SH MonsterArts King Ghidorah. The box was so large and it was such an anxiety-provoking process, I couldn't do a normal unboxing for this figure. So we're just going to take a look at the box here, see how you open it up, see where everything's placed, how you assemble it. And I'm going to say a quick prayer for you, because if you get this, yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking putting them together. Yep. And then we're going to finish this section off with just a picture of the King Ghidorah box alongside Godzilla 2019's box. This way you get a feel for the overall size of this thing. Though the Monsterverse design of King Ghidorah doesn't necessarily sport the amazingly shiny, sparkly gold we're used to seeing for previous iterations of King Ghidorah, the one that we see in front of us here is a little, well, too tan, a little too brown. They definitely could have used a little bit of a slider on the scale to more so yellow like it is on the box, or for the special color version, because King Ghidorah doesn't quite blend in all that well with previously released Ghidorahs. He's definitely going to be standing out. But that being said, the actual paint application that we have here for the front of King Ghidorah anyway is rather nice. Mine, of course, does not escape without quality control issues, as that is simply the meme of the channel. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at this guy so we can see what works, what doesn't, and where you're definitely going to need to have some concern. All three heads of King Ghidorah do look rather nice, though admittedly the shading found on the horns is a little heavy-handed. They should have at least backed up or wiped off the brush a bit more before they continued on with the dry brushing. The mouths of King Ghidorah are actually a very, very noticeable contrasted difference to the rest of the figure. They are rather bright, and some are going to love it, some are going to hate it. I think it just simply makes it unique and retains the alien-like feel of King Ghidorah overall. Something to take note of is that the right head of King Ghidorah actually has a broken horn, and apparently some folks thought this was a quality control issue. It's not. It's just a part of the design. The necks of King Ghidorah, the two outer ones are going to be similar, but the middle one is going to be different as it has 2 rows of spikes. Do keep this in mind that they did pay attention to the detailing. Now, when we take a look at the main body of King Ghidorah, it is an absolute unit with a nice bulky chest with some amazingly sculpted details to it, with some nice dark paint shading here and there to really help enhance the scaling on King Ghidorah, so it is always going to look nice. The feet of King Ghidorah are also rather intimidating with some nice yellow claws leading all the way to the back with a nice spiked barbed tail, which actually the tail tips are a different color. Yep, ever so subtle, but it's there. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the wings of King Ghidorah, and this is going to be the drawback for this big dude. Now the front, you are definitely going to be seeing some paint shading, which does look good, and the sculpted details are of course fantastic. A whole bunch of little spikes here and there to really bring out the ferociousness of this dragon, but something to keep in mind, it's all painted, so you're going to have some paint chipping. Yep, fresh out of the box with mine, and that extends all the way to the back too, where we're going to have some paint bubbles, which apparently occurred, and yeah, you can see the bare plastic underneath. Yep, pretty unacceptable for something that's nearly $200. I don't know why we're going on nearly a decade for this action figure line, and we're still having these issues with big ticket products. I'm not going to go into as much of a rant as I have before with some others, because at this point, I kind of feel like it's falling on deaf ears. I don't think Bandai is listening at all to any of the quality control issues, so I'll leave it there. Overall, King Ghidorah does look nice in the sculpt department, and Shinichi Wakasa, who helped to oversee this as Yuji Sakai did to Godzilla 2019, overall, Wakasa did a fantastic job. However, when it comes to the paint, that is where the ball was absolutely dropped. All right, time to talk about the articulation, which will lead, hopefully, seamlessly into the accessories. So you can kind of pretty much gauge the articulation on good old King Ghidorah here, and Bandai really hasn't learned from the previous Ghidorah attempts. What are we talking about? Well, they haven't fixed the neck issue with using soft plastic in general, because the necks have pretty nice articulation. I mean, look at that range. But the problem is that a lot of folks, including myself, are having trouble with some of the neck joints staying in place or even getting satisfactory range of movement out of the heads. I don't really have to zoom in to show you just how small that half ball joint is for this socket on the head. So the necks are rather difficult for a lot of folks to move around, not just me. But like I showed you with that one segmented piece of this neck, Kevin's, no doubt. Once you get it moving, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So yes, we do get plenty of ball joints in the necks to allow for amazing range when it wants to cooperate. Even the base of the necks really do have a good range, because there's a ball joint where all the necks meet at the body. So that's good. Okay, so hopefully that will stay there. So yes, we do have some good range, but unfortunately, due to quality control or just general poor design, specifically the ball joint for the center head, yeah, it's not fully enjoyable. Now, for the legs, we do have ball-jointed hips, not like it's going to matter too much because you're not really going to be moving the legs around. The necks are going to be the main focus of the action. We're going to have ball jointed knees so we can move them around. We're going to have a ball joint cut here, so this way we can get a little bit of a rocker motion there, and then ball jointed ankles for ankle rocker movement. For the tails, much like the necks, it's going to be more of the same from previous Ghidorahs, where we're going to have a whole bunch of ball joints, and they like to pop off. So they do come detached in the packaging, so you may have to heat them up to pop them on, but that's okay. But yes, we do get some nice range of movement where it likes to cooperate. Now, I didn't talk about the wings yet because the wings are the segue into the accessories. So let's go ahead and talk about them now. All right, so let me see. Yep, there we go. It's going to cooperate. Okay. So, for the wings, it's a little complicated because, first and foremost, they have this little sheath here, right? So, the center of Ghidorah is kind of hollow. There is a ball joint here and a ball joint here, which allows you to move them and twist them and turn them and raise and lower them. So, that's pretty cool. Now, attaching the wings, that's a whole different story because it can be difficult because the wings are just huge pieces of very hard plastic. And if you get unfortunate enough like me, it could take a lot of effort to actually get the wings on. One of the wings may decide it's just going to pop and slide right off. But thankfully, in some cases, the wing will stay on rather well. In other cases, it won't, and it'll just slide right off. So for the accessories that King Ghidorah comes with, as you can kind of see, he's going to be toppling over quite a bit. So we need something to help with that. And we get this little jock strap. Let me readjust my camera here. All right, and this can actually sometimes work against Ghidorah because depending on how you have it situated, you may think, okay, you have Ghidorah standing, you're fine. If you put him down like that, you may technically have him floating, and he's not sitting on it perfectly, and then he'll lean forward. So make sure you center everything out, and you have his feet perfectly flat. Okay, there we go. Once you get that down, then you should pretty much be good to go. Generally speaking, I feel like this is just enough generally to cover Ghidorah, but we got to go a step beyond that. And what do we get? Well, we get two more little stands here, and we get attachment parts because you raise and you lower Ghidorah's wings. So what these are meant for is the smaller ones are meant for when Ghidorah has his wings down. The taller ones are meant for when he has his wings up. But I wouldn't do that per the instructions. I'll show you why. The cool thing about this is that these little clips, well, the good thing and the bad thing is they're on ball joints. So it's not like there isn't going to be any sort of inflexibility or rigidity, whatever you would prefer there, when it comes to supporting Ghidorah's wings. Because you have some movement there. Here, let me give you a little bit of an example. That big old Papa Steven here help you out. So, if you're thinking like, oh, it just has to sit here and it's going to warp and it's going to harm the wing. Nope, you can actually curve it and work it so this way there's no actual stress on the wing and it's just there to simply support the wing. So that's good. Now, what was I talking about before with the raising of Ghidorah's wing and supporting it? Well, here, let's take a look here. So you swap it out just by doing this, right? The reason why the ball joint isn't that great is you can almost see it here. It'll be difficult to pick up on the camera. This plastic clip cracking. Yeah, didn't think of that, did you? So the way that the instructions call for it is you raise up the wing as high as it can go, and you place a support here, I think it is, like on the actual spike. I think that's it. Yeah, on the instructions, they show using it on a spike. Or the wing. No. So let's, Maybe reevaluate that if you really want to do that. Nah. Let's maybe look for something a bit more efficient that isn't going to risk breakage to your $200 King Ghidorah. I think that's a little better, personally. But anyway, yes, so some folks have been concerned and they feel like this support system does not really work to help support King Ghidorah. I beg to differ. I think that this support stand system is really nice for Ghidorah, and it will be good for him in the long run. Now, if you want to put another support stand up here and protect him like a Tamashii Stage Act 4 or 5, good on ya. But trust me, it is shake-proof, so you'll be fine there. So all in all, for accessories, we definitely could have used an effect part, but the stands they're okay. They at least work. All right, now we're going to go ahead and move right on over to a size comparison where you can see this is definitely a large figure. However, the biggest thing about this one is going to be the wings. So do keep that in mind, that this is going to be a case where the actual body of the figure, not too big. It's just going to be those large shells of wings that are going to take up the majority of your shelf space. So the $1 million question, or nearly $200 question. Buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Overall, King Ghidorah is sculpted wonderfully, but it has some serious issues in the paint department which are inexcusable at nearly $200, with issues such as paint bubbling out of the package, revealing the plastic underneath. We do have paint scraping from the support stands up against the figure, causing damage already, and then the fact that they did change the paint application from the prototype to the final product. When it comes to accessories, they could have just simply reissued the Heisei King Ghidorah gravity beams, because guess what? Those can actually slide into the space in the mouth where the jaw joint is, so those can just easily, safely be reused with no issues whatsoever. Instead, we just get a questionable support system for King Ghidorah. All in all, for $200, I do have to say that I am rather disappointed. Or if you want to be technical, $179.99. Yep. However, I do want to make one thing absolutely clear. It is wonderful to see this thing absolutely dominating on your shelf. The only thing, it just has one too many issues that will turn some folks off. If you like what you see, go ahead and get it, because prices will only climb on the aftermarket. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.